Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Derek Strauss with Gavroche, and we're partnering with the CDO Magazine, the MIT CDO IQ Symposium, and the International Society for Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. And today I have pleasure in talking once again with Peter Serenita, the Chief Data Officer at Scotiabank. This is the second in a series of three interviews that we're having. And Peter is joining us again. And this time we're going to be focusing a little bit more, take a slightly deeper dive into current opportunities and challenges in the data industry, data and analytics world. And so welcome again, Peter. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Derek. It's great to be here.
So, Peter, you recently wrote a piece about the technology of data. And it was an interesting title, Technology of Data, and the importance of technology and data professionals partnering to solve for data challenges. Can you elaborate a little bit on your thinking around this?
Sure, absolutely. And if for those of you who are able to see the previous podcast, you'll see that when we talked about the early days of data, there really wasn't a lot of tool set that was available to the chief data officer that was specifically built for data. But that has changed. And one of the other things is, since data had come out of IT previously, a lot of chief data officers were a little leery of saying, data and IT, because they were trying to establish that data is not an IT problem, okay? But I think sometimes it went too far because it walked a little too far away from IT. Data is not an IT problem, but certainly IT can be a huge enabler to help the data process. And we're seeing a lot of new tools come out that are specifically built around data. And they really can take a significant step forward. CDOs can take a significant step forward by really leveraging these tool sets. I mean, think about it. At the early days of even IT, if you go back to the early IT days, the tools were very immature. Developers had to develop with what they had. And now the IT process is a very mature process. The tools are fully integrated. And that's what we're seeing in the data world too, right? The tools are becoming much more mature, much more integrated. And what they can do is really do a lot of the heavy lifting that previously the data analysts used to have to do. So no longer we have to do a lot of this stuff manually. Let the power of the machine analyze the data for you, and then you have that value add. That's where then you take it from there. And you really can take then data to the next level by continuing to leverage the power of the machine, but also then work closely with the vendors who provide these tools, because again, it's a matter of continually maturing and adding capability to those to serve that chief data officer and ultimately to serve the customers and the companies.
Yeah, certainly the technology and the tools and so on have come a long way from those early days, for sure. And even some of the ideas of using, some of the latest things like AI and machine learning and so on as part of these is quite exciting and phenomenal.
Absolutely. I mean, just to your point, right? We had a lot of knowledge built up in our heads, right? About what a transaction, what a trade looks like, what a swap looks like, and now with the newer tools, you can actually build that knowledge base right into the tool with a lot of machine learning. So now a lot of what was institutional knowledge that were locked inside people's heads are now actually much more available to the broader data community. And again, and as you know, the processing speed of these new systems, you can really get things done a lot quicker now.
Yeah. And thinking about all the lessons of this year, COVID-19 and so on. I mean, it's really proven to accelerate the digital adoption of banking solutions as customers gravitate to digital channels for all their banking needs from home. How is data being leveraged to support this acceleration in digital service?
Yeah, no, good question, Derek. I mean, first off, I think one of the key things was what we did at Scotia was we married data and analytics, right? So what we did is therefore we shortened the value chain a bit. right?
Yeah.
By making sure that we've got the consumption and the production closer together. But you're absolutely right. The data has become much more, because it's a lot more is being done digitally now. You no longer have a person as an intermediary. So really it is then about the data, and the data really drives the customer experience now. So, and if you also think about that, you think as a customer, right? Customer expectations have significantly increased, right? You really, as a customer, you expect that the institution has the data about you, but also has other data available to you that you want. And that might be external data. It might be, an analytic that gives you suggestions and things like that. So the bar is certainly raised in terms of that customer experience and customer expectations. In order to satisfy that, you've really got to do a really good job with data. And talking about COVID-19, so at Scotia, what we really did was we focused a couple of different areas of our data journey. One was, we quickly had to come up with our deferral programs to make sure that customers were able to defer their payments given the economic environment that they were in. We also worked closely for the co-lending programs with the government co-lending programs. Mm-hmm. And then finally, a really interesting piece of analytics that we worked on was really getting a good understanding of who some of our more vulnerable customers might be, so that we can do a proactive reach out and really help our customers through this difficult time. So there's a couple of examples of how data really played a key role during a very critical and difficult time. It really, so the COVID-19 has really accelerated that data journey. Think about, if we talked earlier in a previous podcast about the history, one of the things that accelerated data back then was the crisis, right? Yep. Where in 2008, right? And that really propelled data into a forefront. Well, this is also, this crisis, this pandemic has done similarly. It's really propelled data into the forefront. But you know what? This is just the beginning. The future is bright for data professionals. Now that data is in the forefront, think of, businesses are really starting to build around data.
Yeah, it certainly is an amazing time. The adoption of data and analytics as a main sort of resource that the organization could use proactively seemed to take an awfully long time back in the day when we were just starting with the chief data officer role. And the momentum has significantly picked up. And it certainly is great to hear your perspectives on, what the current opportunities and the challenges are. And certainly in the third podcast in the series, the one that's going to come right up after this one. So please, viewers, be on the watch for that one. Peter and I are going to dive a bit deeper into the next frontier to check out, through the crystal ball into what we see, what Peter has as specific perspectives on, coming up in the next frontier of data management and data and analytics leadership. So thanks again, Peter, for joining me today. And for the viewers, please continue to keep an eye out for part 3 as well. And also, please visit the cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.